All right, guys, so we're gonna go ahead and build our second rocket. And what I did was, instead of filming early, I got ahead of myself. I got excited. So to build something, it's still in the level 1 and level 2 category, but it's a bit faster. We're building the Wildman rocketry Darkstar Jr., which still flies on 38mm motors, but has a much smaller diameter than the previous rocket we made. And this one is already made fully of fiberglass, so I'm not going to be laying down fiberglass cloth and painting it myself. However, this seemed like a cool build challenge because there's some new skills involved and something I just wanted to show so far. I'm not going to be showing every single part of the build like I did last time, but this part is kind of cool. So I sanded everything, did all the pre-prep work on all the fins, the centering rings, the bottom body tube. You can see it's pre-cut for some of those fins, although, you know, nothing's perfect, although the quality is awesome. So you have to do some fitting yourself. Here's the actual motor tube. This is an extra spacer ring that goes on something new we're doing this time, which is the electronics bay. And I'll talk about that in a moment because that's where all the changes happen today. This is the top part of the body tube, and then here's the nose cone. Comes with a metal tip, okay? And you can see I already actually epoxied in the coupler along with a modification I made. So the reason I made a modification, the reason for this video, is because this is a dual deploy rocket, and I really didn't want to get into dual deploy yet. It's a little more complicated, a bit more pieces of the pie that can go wrong. And so I really just wanted something that would go fast and high, break Mach 1, and I still want to do single deploy. Now I know might sound kind of crazy or silly, but it's doable and I have a shoot release and things like that. And GPS, which is all going to be going in. Well, the GPS is going to go on the eBay, shoot release is going to go with the shoot. So I thought about this design a lot, thought about what I wanted to do. I am going to do a discharge where it breaks actually off in the center. So what that means is that instead of the charge discharging somewhere down in the middle there, that ejection charge, and pushing air up past this tube, past that tube, and then popping off this nose cone at the top and releasing the chute there, I actually decided I want to do it deploying in the middle. The reason for that is I want to sustain this being still capable of doing dual deploy if I want to eventually do that. So I know there's some traditional ways to do that with shear pins. I am probably wrong, I'm newer at this. I just felt less confident about pins, those plastic pins. And I decided if I take out the weight of all these extra eye bolts that I would need for the dual deploy system for now, I got this idea and it just started running in my head moment after moment after moment. And what it resulted in was me going and getting some hardware for my electronics bay. And you can see that this goes into here. Okay, and it couples like that, and then you have this piece that goes on top here, okay, and then what you do, and I'll show you in a moment, but you then put those washers and those wing nuts on top here, so this part can be removed. This part I made it so that it really can't be, okay. So what happens is I decided, normally this long bar isn't here. This just kind of has an eye bolt here and an eye bolt here, and it's down in the center. And when it dual deploy, it breaks 1, 2, 3 parts. And you have 2 parachutes and strings attaching all of it. I just want this to stay locked on to this thing, okay, but be removable if I ever want it to be. And then I want it to deploy and open here, keeping this all together. And what I decided to do, I got this cool idea. I was like, maybe the same method I used here, I could use this. It's a pretty light rod actually. Run it all the way up into, and that's when I filed a hole the size of, and it looks exactly like that nut is the same as this one, but it is epoxied in there, okay, into a fiberglass centering ring that fits its shape perfectly. And this is fiberglassed in here, okay? Now you might be thinking, well, what about if you want to put an eye bolt there someday? Well, that is a 1024 nut, and these are 1024 eye bolts. So I can do that at some point if I want. But for now, what I can do is I can put this all in the tube, and then I can screw this on top. So give me a moment, and I'll show you. All right. So we got this. A little finicky. So this is the part that I can then take off, and I can put my electronics down in here, my GPS tracker. I'll probably just put some foam in there, honestly, and then just put that whole like Inverted Pursuits plastic module in there. Make sure it's nice and stuffed and won't jump around. That way I don't have to make a different sled for that thing and take it in, take it out, blah, blah, blah. And then I can even transfer it from one rocket to another on launch day. These wing nuts give me a little bit of trouble. Like one of them doesn't want to totally catch, but we've got a lot of torque going on this whole thing that would stay fine. Now I take this, okay, and what I'm doing is taking this upper body tube, okay, and I'm slotting this through here. All right, this goes about midway there. Then this will fit about, and I'll epoxy that'll stay here, which will allow me to create some tightness tension too. But when I'm ready, I'm gonna glue this in here, okay? Now then that goes there, and then you see up top, we have this piece, okay? And we just screw that in there. And it takes a little bit because I left some extra on there when I had the wire ground down. But I did that just in case, you know, I'm gonna probably add some rubber rings or something on the sides of this because I don't plan on epoxying that in just yet. That way there can be some twisted tightness tension kind of keeping this on. I don't want any like extra rotation during flight that like, you know, results in this unscrewing and just flying everywhere. Hence why there's actually a hell of a lot of thread on this. And so that's kind of the point. So let's get this on there. You don't get to see the motor tube. I haven't put fins or anything on it at this point, but then this will go here, okay? And then it'll be full. And that will stay on and go straight up. All right, thanks.